Welcome back to the Birdhouse Dynasty Show. Tonight, we're getting into some college football rankings, college football landscape, and everything you need to know getting into your 2025 college rookie drafts. For all you rebuilders out there, there is hope. Because yes, this 2025 class is smoking up the charts in relation to previous years. That's right. There's some players out there. Let's tone that down a little. Yes, there we go. All right. So the 2025 class that we're all wondering about, what's coming in, what's coming out of college football this season. Let me tell you, let's get things started off with running backs. Yes, running backs are the showcase of this season, this draft coming up in 2025. We're going to show you the college football landscape to get things started off. Yes, let's head into the college football playoff rankings right off the bat. Just to give you an idea, sort of what the college football landscape is right now. So to start things off, if you look at the left side of the screen here, you can see the initial college football rankings came out this week. And that's right, we've got a 12-team playoff this year. And so the 12 teams that would be in the playoff, so with 12 teams of top 4 seeds will be getting a bye, and those top 4 seeds will be awarded to the top conference winners. So basically the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and Big 12 conference champions will get byes in the 12-team playoff. They will be the top 4 seeds, and then seeds 5 through 12 will be at-large bids. So even if two Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 4, one of them will be knocked down to the 5th seed. All right. And that's kind of what is happening right now, because you can see here that Oregon, who is now in the Big Ten, Oregon is the top seed, the number 1 overall ranked team in the country. And if that stays the same, they will likely be the number 1 seed heading into the college football playoff. Now they will have to win the Big Ten championship in order to remain the top seed, likely playing Ohio State if things hold true, which would be a rematch of their 32-31 victory earlier this year in Eugene, Oregon. So we have in the college football rankings, Oregon and Ohio State ranked number 1 and 2. You can see the 1 loss there for the 7-1 Buckeyes. Georgia comes in at number 3 in the SEC, and Miami is back into the mix. They are 9-0 out of the ACC, and if they win the ACC championship, they will get a bye in the college football playoff. Cam Ward leading the way there for the Hurricanes. After that, Texas comes in at number 5. They're 7-1. Penn State losing this week to Ohio State. They're 7-1 as well. Tennessee in at number 7 at 7-1. Then the next undefeated team is Indiana. Now, Indiana is just completely out of nowhere. Their head coach came in, new head coach this year, brought a bunch of his guys from James Madison, also brought in bunch of other guys on NIL deals. So they're a totally new look Hoosier team. I can't remember the last time the Hoosiers have ever been relevant in college football, because that has never happened before. So the Indiana Hoosiers, yes, are in at number 8 right now. They have Michigan and Ohio State on their schedule, so they will need to step their game up in order to remain undefeated. BYU in at number 9 at 8-0. They are in the Big 12 as well. Then you have number 10, Notre Dame. Of course, they're independent. Number 11, Alabama at 6-2. So they're the first 2-loss team in there. And then Boise State rounding out the top 12. Their top running back, Ashton Jeanty, is screaming up the boards in the Superflex rankings. We will get to those in a minute. But after them at number 12, we have SMU at 8-1. Then Texas A&M at 14. They are 7-2 out of the SEC. And then LSU. So they're at number 15, also a 2-loss squad. So this weekend is the Big Bash in Death Valley, Saturday night. LSU hosting the Crimson Tide in what essentially is a college football playoff elimination game. So things will be rocking down there in Baton Rouge for sure. Do not miss that one. As you can see on the thumbnail, I've got Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback from LSU, newly into my Superflex rankings. And Jalen Milroe is the other dude in there. He has been in my Superflex rankings all season long. I am higher on him. He is in at number 3. We will go ahead and bring those rankings up now to you right. Okay, one more second. Just one more second. Okay, there we go. Now, here are my top 25 rookie Superflex tight end premium rankings for the 2025 class. Ted McMillan stays atop, wide receiver from Arizona. At number 2, Luther Burden, the third wide receiver out of Missouri. Jalen Milroe, there he is at number 3, quarterback from Alabama. Carson Beck in at number 4, quarterback from Georgia. And at number 5, there is Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise. Okay, so let's talk about this top 5 here. First of all, this is tier 1 of the 2025 rookie class. Many have put Ashton Jeanty all the way up to number 1. I haven't quite done that yet because I'm not buying into the running back position yet as the elite tier. I just put Jeanty in there basically because everybody else has. Okay, I am not saying Jeanty is an elite talent. He is. He is most definitely an elite talent. He is putting up monster numbers. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can do it all. I just don't know yet what his draft capital will be. I am sure he will get selected in the first round of the NFL draft. I just don't know how high. Will he be a top 10 pick? Will he just be a top 20 pick? Not sure yet. So that's kind of why I have Jeanty in at number 5 right now. I've got the 2 quarterbacks ahead of him, as well as the 2 wide receivers, because I simply just feel those are, more important positions. It's as simple as that. Okay. I don't dislike Jeanty at all. I love him, but, it really just comes down to what his draft capital ends up being, what his landing spot is. Okay. Now, like if the Dallas Cowboys take him, well, sure, he's going to move up just because he's with the Dallas Cowboys, who everybody loves because, well, we see them all the time on TV. So they artificially give their players more value. All right. If Jeanty goes to just going to throw a team out there, the New Orleans Saints, though, well, not so much. They're not on TV as much, so he's not going to get as much hype. It's really as simple as that. I mean, Bijan went to the Falcons, got plenty of hype still, but there was reason for that. He was the number 8 overall pick. If Jeanty goes top 10, it really doesn't matter what team he goes to. He's going to get plenty of hype. All right. Jonathan Brooks went in the 2nd round. Didn't matter what team he went to. The fact was that he went in the 2nd round and he was the top running back off the board. So he still made it into the 1st round of some of our rookie drafts this past season in 24. All right. So That's what it boils down to with the running backs, and that's why I have Genty at number 5. Okay, now going back to Jalen Milroe, why do I have him at number 3? Okay, I don't expect him to get picked number 3 in our 25 rookie drafts. And first of all, he needs to come out of school. He's just a junior, and there's rumors now that he may go back to school. So that is something to keep an eye on, because, of course, if he doesn't come out, well, then he's not going to be in our 25 rookie drafts. All right. But the reason I have him at number 3 is because he is the best rushing quarterback of the mix here. Out of the quarterbacks this season, not much going on yet. Shedeur Sanders, of course, Deion's kid, he will get plenty of hype. Deion's probably going to stuff his nose into it as far as what team, what franchise he will allow his son to play for. Kind of like Archie Manning did for Eli, forced the trade from the San Diego Chargers at the time, trading their top overall pick to the New York Giants because Archie said, my son will not play for you guys. So, hey, whoever says the NFL is just the NFL and they're run by the owners and the franchises, that's not true. The players still have a say. Don't get things mixed up there too much. So Shedeur Sanders, believe me, will end up with a top flight franchise. That's why I have him in at number 6. I don't love his talent. I like it. He's got arm talent. I wish he ran more because I know he can, and he may do that at the NFL level. I think he can run about as well as Caleb Williams, I would say, maybe. But we haven't really seen it in college, and that's because the coaching has, told him you need to become a pocket passer. And so he has worked on that. All right. Next up is tier 2. Now, we already mentioned Shedeur Sanders. I watched Omarion Hampton this week. Now, granted, it was against my Florida State Seminoles, who have looked like a Division II school this year so far, and just pathetic. But still, that said, they are a Division I school, actually, and Omarion Hampton just tore us up. He was catching screen passes, taking them to the house. He was doing it all. And so my level of thought for Omarion Hampton has risen. Okay, he hasn't jumped any of these guys, but basically for him being at number 7, it's made me elevate my thought of what this 25 class is in regards to comparing them to the past classes. So for a time there, I was simply just, the 26 draft is going to be better than this 25 class. Now, mainly I thought that because this 25 class is dominated by running backs. Okay, and running backs simply are not the best position in Superflex leagues, Dynasty Superflex leagues. The best classes generally are the classes that are dominated by quarterbacks and wide receivers. Simply put, they have more longevity in the NFL. We know that the average lifespan of a running back in the NFL is only 3.5 years. So they get one contract, and that's it. We all know how it's gone for most running backs after their first contract. Now, this season has shown us a little bit of difference to that. As we all know, like the top 5 running backs this season, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. You could throw in, I'm trying to think of the top 5 right now off the top of my head. Joe Mixon. Okay, 4 out of the top 5. Bijan, I guess, would be number 4. But if you look at that class there, and McCaffrey hasn't even taken a snap yet, and he's 28. Okay, but that 2017 running back class is just never going to die. I mean, this year is unreal. James Conner is from that class. Aaron Jones is from that class. And I know I'm missing a couple of names from that class. but it's amazing. And the top guy from that class was Leonard Fournette, who obviously is irrelevant right now, but the rest of those guys are still hanging around. And it's like this 25 rookie class is coming into the NFL at the perfect time because they are loaded. I mean, this class goes like 30 deep at running back. There are guys who are going to get drafted in our rookie drafts in the 3rd and 4th round. They are going to be drafted in the NFL drafts in rounds 3 through 5 who are going to be able to play right away. Okay, what does that mean for the running back landscape? Well, guys who are in the middle, who have some talent and are showing it a little bit here, guys like Chase Brown, Tyron Tracy, the guys who are you're a little scared to give up a first for, but you definitely would give up like a second and third for. Those guys are producing at a great clip right now, and we all want to have them on our team, but then at the same time, we're a little scared because they're not like elite talent. They weren't drafted in the 1st or 2nd rounds, so we don't know if it's going to sustain. Well, the problem is that for the 2 examples I gave, Chase Brown and Tyron Tracy, either of those teams could draft a running back as late as the 5th round next year, and the dude could play on 1st and 2nd down, and Chase Brown and Tyron Tracy could be relegated to 3rd down status. All these dudes, Hampton, Genty, and then when I get down the list, all these dudes are well over 200 pounds. We don't have any we don't have any Devon Achans in here that are only $185. These dudes are all built like rocks. They're all 215, 220, 225, 230 pounds. They're all ready for the NFL, and they're putting up numbers right now. So I urge you to spend a single Saturday in the month of November just watching some of these running backs who are going to come into the NFL next season, because you are going to want to know their names when it comes time to select them in your 2025 rookie drafts come next May. All right. As you can see, tier 2 is littered with a few running backs. After Omari and Hampton, we've got 3 straight Buckeyes here from Ohio State. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State, then Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, both from Ohio State, switching off drives basically in that backfield. Judkins, first 2 years of his college career played at Ole Miss, decided to transfer to Ohio State this season. Definitely saving some miles on the tires for Judkins, and that dude can play at a high level. All right, then we go on to tier 3, which would be basically the back end of the 1st round into the 2nd round. And atop that, we've got Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward could jump up as high as into the top 5 of your rookie drafts. I'm telling you, he is having a Heisman caliber season for the Hurricanes. As I said earlier, they haven't been relevant for a while, but they are ranked number 4, looking at a bye in the college football playoff and a possible Heisman Trophy for Cam Ward. Cam Ward reminds me of a sort of like a Deshaun Watson without the off-field issues. Okay. Travis Hunter then comes in, the cornerback / wide receiver at Colorado, playing with Shadir Sanders. He is improving every single week as a wide receiver. Going into this season, he was looked at as the top cornerback in the 2025 class, and that's what he was going to play. Last year, he played a little bit at wide receiver, but now this year, he is playing every single down of the game. Not just every single down at wide receiver. He's going back out there and playing cornerback and is one of the top 2 or 3 corners in this nation. So he's going to have to make a decision, though, once he gets to the NFL, because I'm telling you, they're not going to throw a rookie out there running both ways. Okay, so he's going to have to decide if he wants to be a wide receiver or a corner. If he decides to go solely wide receiver, I would slide him in possibly ahead of Egbuka. Now, Hunter's a little more slender. Egbuka is a little more built, sort of like Chris Godwin, I guess. Egbuka, he reminds me of. Whereas Travis Hunter is a little more slender, not quite. he's not as slender as like Devontae Smith, but he just needs to polish his game. Okay, the talent is obvious; it's there, but he needs the reps, and he's getting them, plenty of them this year for Colorado. After that, I've got the burner Isaiah Bond from Texas. After him, Trey Harris from Ole Miss, another big-bodied wide receiver. Quinn Ewers comes in from Texas at number 15. Not very high on him. He has been ranked higher by some, as high as a first-round rookie draft pick type, but I'm not buying into him. I see him more as a career backup in the NFL. And then after him is Evan Stewart, the wide receiver from Oregon. He transferred this year to Oregon to get more attention, but unfortunately for him, he hasn't quite got as much attention as his teammate, Tez Johnson, who comes in further down the list. Tez Johnson is a smaller possession type receiver. Got some wheels, but he's getting Tez Johnson, that is, he's getting way more looks than Evan Stewart. So that could hurt Stewart, but I'm guessing he's going to test extremely well at the combine. So I don't know how that's going to translate, because unfortunately that could turn into like an A.D. Mitchell type situation for Evan Stewart. I don't know. He had one huge game, and his huge game this year happened to come in the Ohio State game, which means a lot because he was going up against a top 3 cornerback from Ohio State there, and he dominated him. So that's why I still am holding strong on Evan Stewart there in tier 3. Now we move down a little bit here. Scroll down to tier 4. Yeah, there we go. All right. And there we have Ollie Gordon. And Ollie Gordon, it's been an interesting situation. I'm sure he's going to test well at the combine, but you never know. He could run a slow 40 and then he moves down. He has been, he's had a rough season for Oklahoma State. So he's someone I definitely could see moving down into like the 3rd round range for our rookie drafts. The talent is there, but he's kind of like, I don't want to say Zach Moss, because he's bigger than Zach Moss, and he put up way better numbers than Zach Moss did at Utah. So thinking more like along the lines of like Dante Foreman from Texas. When he was at Texas, Foreman was a stud. And so Ollie Gordon is kind of falling into that mix. I don't know that he's not the greatest receiver either. So maybe he could get up to like what a Leonard Fournette was. And Fournette ended up turning up his receiving volume later on in his career, especially when he was in Tampa. But I think that more had to do with the fact that Brady was dumping it off to him. So Ollie Gordon is just someone to watch because he is a very polarizing player right now in the college football rankings. All right. Next up, I've got my top tight end, Colston Loveland out of Michigan. After him, to finish off tier 4, is Nick Singleton, the running back out of Penn State. Some have him as high as a late 1st round pick for you guys in your rookie drafts. All right. Let's move on to tier number 5. And atop that tier, we get an LSU Tiger, Kyron Lacey, someone you can watch this Saturday against the Crimson Tide. Kyron Lacey is a playmaker. He is not as big as Justin Jefferson. He is more of a Jamar Chase light, I guess you call him. He's definitely not an elite talent like Jamar Chase, but the fact that he's still at a big-time program like LSU and the legit number 1 there. I'm trying to think of a good comp for him right now. Maybe it's Terry McLaurin. Now, this past offseason, I wouldn't have used McLaurin, but McLaurin's definitely changed my mind, and he's stepped his game up this year. So Lacey is like, what is he, like a $185, 6 foot, maybe 5'11", fast, but a good route runner, okay? And he can make plays. 21 there, I've got that Tez Johnson guy from Oregon that I mentioned earlier. And after that is Nick Anderson, someone who's been injured all season, but is going to test extremely well at the combine. He's slender, 6'2", got some wheels. So he's still up there in the rankings. I don't want to leave him out just because he's going to test so well at the combine. All right. Coming up at tier 6, got a few quarterbacks here. And Jackson Dart jumping up the rankings, moved him up about 5 spots in a monster game. Let's just say this. The talent is there for Dart to be the top quarterback in this class. All right. So he's somebody that I could see actually starting at the NFL level. If I had a comp for him right now, it'd probably be like, I hate saying this because I think he's better than him, but Spencer Rattler, that type. Okay. He's got a decent arm. It's hard to say whether or not he's benefiting from the system that he's in. So Jackson Dart's definitely somebody to watch going forward because Ole Miss is going to be a school in the college football playoffs. So they're going to be playing in some big time games. So his draft stock could fluctuate based on how well the Rebels do in the college football playoff. After him is Dylan Gabriel, the lefty quarterback out of Oregon, having a great season, leading the Ducks to the #1 ranking at this point in the season. Now, Dylan Gabriel's a shorter quarterback. He's only like 5'11", 6 foot, putting up monster numbers there. He could end up with the most career touchdown passes in college football. He started his career at UCF, then went to Oklahoma, and now is in Oregon. And he's had quite a long career. He's an older quarterback, but we found lately that quarterbacks who stay, it does help them once they get to the NFL because like a quarterback's lifespan in the NFL is much longer than running backs, longer than wide receivers. And so you don't need to come into the NFL at age 21 to be somebody who you don't have to leave as a junior in order to be good in the NFL. Sometimes that extra seasoning helps out the quarterbacks, gets them more used to, gets them to see more coverages, gets them more comfortable, and then they enter the NFL and they're more mature as a player and able to lead men into battle. All right. After that, we've got Xavier Henderson, wide receiver from Cincinnati, great athlete. And next up is a guy I want to talk about. It's Rocket Sanders from South Carolina, the running back. He spent his first 2 years at Arkansas, came flying onto the scene his freshman season. He was the #1 running back in this class coming out of high school, and the hype was there as the #1 running back for this class for his freshman season, but then he just completely fell off the map last year, fell out of favor with the coaches, left Arkansas, headed over to South Carolina, and he is back tearing it up. He's a 6 foot, 230-pound running back. So as you can see, somebody that I've got ranked down at 26, which would be the third round. The third round. I mean, this guy could end up being the best running back in this class. After him, Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback from LSU. You get to see him Saturday night if you check out the Bama LSU game. Nussmeier is a very steady quarterback. He makes a mistake here and there, but he is a steady Eddie, almost like a Jared Goff type quarterback. So if he gets into the right system, Garrett Nussmeier could perform at the next level. After him, 28, Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa, another big back. What is he, 5'11", 225, putting up solid monster numbers for the Hawkeyes. At 29, Devin Neal, running back from Kansas, another 5'11", 215 running back, sort of a little bowling ball. And finally, rounding out my top 25 rankings, as you can see, I added 5 guys, but that's just because this class is expanded. we're already excited about him, and it's just November. At number 30, Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Watched the Penn State-Ohio State game this past weekend and was pretty impressed with the talent for Penn State. They didn't show up enough to beat the Buckeyes, but there were plays from Tyler Warren where the way the Nittany Lions used him, it sort of reminded me of how Georgia was using Brock Bowers last season. Tyler Warren was lining up in the backfield, getting handoffs. He's very versatile. You can see the athleticism from him at the tight end position. They were just able to move him around like a chess piece, trying to get him the ball any way they could. But it wasn't enough for Penn State to overtake Ohio State this last weekend. So that's my top 25 Superflex rookie rankings. You can check these out on my Patreon at patreon.com/Birdhouse Dynasty Show. It's $3 a month to access these rankings, as well as my other rankings that are getting updated weekly. There's other information on the Patreon. You can also check me out on my Twitter/X handle. That's clemke007_FF, as well as buymeacoffee.com/Birdhouse Dynasty Show with any other burning questions you have. We're going to be coming at you tomorrow with some great action in trades over my leagues with Matt English, some of his trades he's had over the past couple of weeks. We all know that this is a very, very important time for our dynasty teams, whether you decide to go the contender direction or the rebuild direction. You have to make a decision at some point. You don't want to end up in the middle. That's like the worst spot to be. You don't want to be a team that's just in the playoffs without a real chance to beat one of those top 3 or 4 teams in your league. And then also on the backside where you're stuck with like the 5th or 6th pick in the first round. So these trades that we will discuss tomorrow will be very relatable to you in your leagues. After that, we will also go over our mid-season awards show. Those will be based off of the polls I posted on Twitter earlier this week. Very interesting awards we'll be handing out there. And then we will also be doing a fantasy preview for the Thursday night game, which is a big one. We've got the Bengals visiting the Baltimore Ravens. So I just want to thank you all for joining tonight. Be sure to check me out on my sites and help the cause here. We love you all. Thank you for joining us tonight. With that, I'm going to head into the rest of the evening. Don't forget, never stop working.